Oh look, I'm making another anti-woman video. My internal misogyny is out of control. But seriously, I want to talk about mandatory paid maternity leave, which I think is going to be a huge issue in the upcoming election, especially if Hillary Clinton is the Democratic nominee. Anyone against it, of course, is going to be labeled backwards, sexist, pro-corporation, you name it. Apparently, the US is the only industrialized country in the world not to have mandatory paid maternity leave. Hillary Clinton is campaigning on changing that, calling it outrageous. To clarify, the US does have unpaid family leave with the Family and Medical Leave Act signed in 1993. The law says that employees can take 12 weeks in a year off to deal with pregnancy, illness, caring for a sick family member, and they cannot be fired for doing so. Hillary Clinton wants to take it a step further and force employees to pay them their regular salaries during their leave of absence. Some people might be wondering, what are the arguments against paid maternity leave? It sounds like such a good thing, right? A lot of the arguments so far have been focused on how small businesses can't afford it. I'm going to approach it differently and talk about how it hurts career-driven women. This is not to say that I think paid maternity leave is a bad thing, just like I don't think paid vacations, holidays, sick days are bad things. These are benefits employers voluntarily, keyword as opposed to mandatory, provide to attract workers to their company. I imagine we'll see more employers offering paid maternity leave as the culture continues to change and more people demand it. However, when government mandates that employers provide it, there are unintended consequences. What I'm about to say, some of it is based on my own personal experiences or my coworkers and friends' experiences, and I'm hesitant to talk about it because I don't want it to be dismissed as whining, because I think it's reality. Young women, especially if they're married, face different obstacles in the workplace. Oh, she's in her mid-20s and married. She's about ready to pop out those babies. Don't give her that promotion. Some people might think I'm exaggerating here, and a couple years ago, if you were to tell me that, I would probably be like, oh, suck it up, princess. But now I've seen it enough to know that it's a real thing that does happen. That's why it's common for women to take off their wedding rings for job interviews, because they worry that being married will send a message that they aren't career focused or that they plan on having children soon if they're young. And it might be a totally unconscious judgment on behalf of the employer. The opposite is true of men. Some men actually put on wedding rings for job interviews because being married as a man sends off a signal that they're career focused, they're reliable, they're dependable. That's something that single men don't get. From an employer's perspective, they don't want to hire or promote someone that they expect to take a long leave of absence. From a young married woman's perspective, it stinks, especially if you don't want kids for a while, or if you wouldn't even be the primary caregiver. Imagine if the game changed and employers have to pay for maternity leave. So not only would a young woman go missing for an extended period of time at work, but her employer would have to pay for her while she's out. Due to that, it becomes even riskier to hire or promote young married women. There are already assumptions made about young women that can hold back work opportunities for us. Now, technically, that kind of discrimination is illegal, but come on, it still happens, it's still going to happen, and it can be hard to prove. People who want mandatory paid maternity leave have good intentions, but in practice, it would increase judgment and discrimination of young, especially married women in the workplace, which is not a good thing.